Good morning. I remember about 2 years ago, I was in my former home in upstate New York, and it was really hot out, and everybody was like inside with the AC full blast. And I remember that day because I was simultaneously making 2 pots of soup at once, because I figured if I'm going to be in the house with the air conditioning on, putzing around the house cleaning, I might as well take all the stuff that I had in the freezer that I was saving to put together to make soups. And I remember that day very distinctly for that reason. So anyway, I remember that day, there was a gentleman that, we'll say his user handle has the word moose in it. And I've told this story before. He was on a live stream. It might have been on someone named David's channel. And I remember they were discussing, there was a young man that was interested in making this movie about goblins. I'm not using the exact title. The moose man, was trying to offer help. I think he was sincere in trying to offer help. And I'll never forget, the man was barbecuing, and I think he had on either a wife beater or his shirt off because it was really hot in the whole country. And he was barbecuing, and he was in his house, in his backyard. There was family in the background. And while he was barbecuing over the grill, he was talking to David. And I remember that specifically because this other person, that there's a nickname called Crab, was harassing him in the side chat, thinking that he was being funny and saying, "Oh, I bet you he knows where every buffet in town is." Meanwhile, the Crab is rotund, and at the time, the moose person had a dad bod, but he wasn't rotund. I'll use the word rotund. I like that word. And like obviously the Crab is a huge troll. He doesn't deserve anyone's attention. He gets very little attention except to be mocked with his crazy lies. So everything that the Crab says is he's telling on himself. He's flipping the script. He doesn't scare anyone. He's harassing a woman in Canada. It's a huge, huge responsibility. I can empathize, not just sympathize, but empathize with anyone who's a caregiver, because I've been one myself for years. It's a huge responsibility, and it's a sacrifice that even if you're getting paid no amount of money can compensate you for all the responsibility and the worry and the love. And you don't get any respect from many people when you're a caregiver. You don't get a paycheck most of the times. You don't get benefits. You don't get anything for sustaining a person that if they were put in a facility and you had to pay, it would be over $100,000 a year. So this woman is a caregiver 24/7 with no respite. And I understand all of this, okay? And instead of giving her props and respect, he's trashing her. No one's perfect. My God. It shows you the low level of this person, that they've never had to care for anything, that obviously they're not a father or a grandparent or a spouse or a partner to anything other than mental illness, evilness, nastiness. Nobody likes that person. Everybody knows they're a liar and a troll. And Going after a woman who is the sole caregiver of an elderly parent is not a good look. It doesn't make you seem very credible at all. At all. It's obvious that you're jealous of the man that does the live streams, that drives around in a white van. Is he an angel? No. Am I an angel? No. But he puts on a good show. Another person did a cartoon that was probably not even a minute. And it was funny. What's the big deal? But you go on and on for an hour and a half. Someone makes one comment and you're so butthurt. You're going on and on for an hour and a half. Boy. Meanwhile, you keep scrubbing your channel. I recall, and other people recall, what was done to me. I really don't give a rat's ass. But you did some heinous things to me. Lying. Hours of screaming and yelling over what? Over what? Over make-believe stuff? Yet, someone else does a 1-minute cartoon. And you go on and on and on. If I did that, if I matched those proportions of spending an hour and a half screaming over a minute, and I took how many minutes you trashed me, I would be spending the rest of my life screaming about it. But I'm not, because you keep saying, oh, you have a life and we don't. You don't know what's going on in anyone's life. You don't know what's going on in my life. I've been sharing very little about myself, and it's going to stay that way. Although a few chosen close people have the 411 on my personal life, but the rest of you don't. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. And once again, I have a lot of respect to anyone that's a caregiver like that. Everyone, have the day that you deserve. Bye.